Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 93 of Last Man In podcast. Regular gang here on this beautiful Tuesday afternoon in middle of the May.
The May.
It's the May.
Not May.
Because it's the 6th. Hashtag we the North.
Hashtag we the other.
Exactly. Because things happened today. But let's talk about what happened last week. Because last week while we were recording this podcast, Game 7 of the Pens Cap series was going on. And you had me freaking out, Cam a little nervous, and Dan uneasy about
Dan was accepting of the situation.
Yes. The Pens Caps Game 7 because Pens were up 3-0. However, when we got home, what happened? Stop shoving your mouth full of fries, Cam.
It's delicious.
I don't care.
I sound out of
He
breath.
earned them.
You
He earned those.
He did earn those
in
French
round
fries.
two. You let him eat them.
We came through with a promise. Actually, I came through with a promise along with Dan. But I was part of that promise. Unlike my Christmas present.
Oh, okay. I was like, are you trying to make up for the fact? Okay. You'll come through one day.
Okay.
What happened?
That bag is so, like, you know how brown paper bags get those grease marks on it? It has almost fully become just a grease mark, that entire bag. That's why we need video. Everyone could have watched you lick that paper bag.
It's coming. 2 months.
It could. Actually,
Countdown's on.
There could be something coming after episode 100.
My chest hurts.
But we'll tease that for
No
later.
teasing.
I'm
No more
teasing
teasing.
I'm teasing
We
it.
banned the tease.
No,
stealing
it's
your
teasing
food.
it for the future. Like, this is like 10 episodes away. Like, 10, 12 weeks away.
To answer your question,
Yes.
what happened?
Yes.
When we got home,
Most roundabout way.
the Penguins were up 3-0.
Yes.
The Caps kept getting gifts from God, as a friend of ours would say.
What was the gifts from God?
3 delay of game penalties in the
row.
third period. In a row. In the third
10
period.
minutes left.
Those aren't gifts from God. Those are gifts from the Penguins.
So it was 3-1 at that point, correct? When the 3 straight power plays happened. And you don't want to give Washington 3 straight power plays because
they're going to give it to Ovechkin, and then the Penguins figured that out. So the first pass not to Ovechkin, John Carlson went in the net.
Yes.
Right? Oh, no, that was the second goal.
First goal. One of them was Ovechkin, one of them was Carlson.
That was the tying goal.
Was Carlson?
Carlson
Yeah.
was the tying goal. What was
Yeah.
the first goal? Because if they were down 3-0.
I don't remember.
They got one right at the end of the second.
Yeah, to make it 3-1.
And then Justin Williams got one in the third.
Justin Williams scored in the of course he scored in the third, and then John Carlson got the other one. Then the Penguins broke our hearts.
They went to like I was there.
They went to overtime.
They went to overtime, and I just want to say in our group chat to everyone to make it public, none of us picked a Penguin. None of us. I picked one because I had to pick Kessel, but like all of us, we were all like, no. Dan was like, Richards. I don't even know who I picked. I was just like, anyone but a Penguin. Kessel, but anyone but a Penguin. And then Greg, who did you pick? Didn't matter. It was a Cap. We were like, come on. Please.
Just anything.
Make Game 7 happen.
I think we all wanted Game 7. Unfortunately, we didn't get it because Nick Bonino got the game-winning goal.
The
series
HBK
clincher
line, also known as the Hagelin, Bonino, Kessel line, or the leftovers, if you're real mean about it.
Yeah.
I don't see how Kessel's a leftover, but the other two are, for sure. But HBK also short for who? Shawn Michaels, who is the Greg, Dan,
Heartbreak Kid.
Heartbreak Kids.
Okay, cool. We're not a wrestling podcast, though. Let's keep this strictly hockey.
Mr. WrestleMania.
I don't
Let's
give
get
two
real.
shits about WrestleMania.
Mr. WrestleMania's Undertaker. Let's clear that up.
Nope, Shawn Michaels. That's what he calls
Okay,
himself.
Greg, we know you're upset. Whatever, it's a great topic.
It's John Cena.
No, John Cena's awesome. That's different, though. He's
Super
captain
Cena.
He's Super Cena.
Okay, fair enough.
When you fight Super Cena, no one wins.
Exactly.
When you're in a feud with Cena, it's over. Your career's ended now. Ask anyone.
Okay.
Okay, let's move on. You don't like wrestling.
No. It's not that I don't like wrestling. I'm so out of touch with what's going on that I don't know what's going on.
Either way, Bonino and the Pittsburgh Penguins broke the Capitals' hearts, and even the
Caps
shot
fans and lots of people's bragging.
the shot of Ovi on the bench was just like, it wasn't sad. He was just like, come on, this was.
We'll come back to Ovi because I want to hold that thought. But the biggest controversy during this game was maybe it's time to have some discretion with these delay of game penalties because it's one of the only penalties in hockey that is extremely black and white, where it's Well, you shot the puck out. That's a penalty. Because Nick Bonino's penalty was he was diving, trying to bat the puck down the ice, had no control of where the puck was going to go, and put it out and got called delay of game. So, obviously, the people that are anti the delay of game rule feel that it should be at referee's discretion. Do you like that idea or no?
It's got to be clear cut. You hit the puck. If you hit the puck and there's no interference, that's it. Delay a game.
Okay.
I know. Was that the one where the Pens were arguing? But then
no, that was the one
where it hit somebody, and they're like, "Look, they're attending to him. There was nothing. It didn't tip off anyone. You hit someone to the puck." But I don't remember seeing that one actually for some reason.
But their argument was that it went over the bench. And if it goes to the bench, it's not.
No. If it goes in the bench, it is. But if it goes over the glass at the back of the bench, that is a penalty.
Well, it doesn't matter where it goes out. It's from where it's shot from.
Yes.
So,
but no, if it goes in the bench, it's not a penalty.
Oh, correct.
But if it goes over the glass at the back of the bench, then it's a penalty.
For some penalties, I don't want the discretion. We need clear cut. It doesn't matter if that's not what your original intent was. We need clear cut. That was a penalty. Mm-hmm. That is not a penalty.
Okay.
Because they don't have that right now with headshots and certain
hits. A lot
hits.
Of other things. Yeah.
You need. Even if it was a mistake or you were looking the other way and you hit a guy in the head, or just, we'll stick to this, you're falling down, you hit it. You hit it out, no one touched it, that has to be a penalty.
Yeah,
I need some penalties for me, it needs to be black and white. It can't be both.
It's tricky because it was brought in to stop guys from doing it intentionally. It wasn't brought in for the accidental cases, and all three of these were pretty accidental. They weren't on purpose. So the penalty is not it's being handed to guys for the wrong purpose, but at the same time, if you make it to the discretion of the referee, then that puts pressure on them to make a judgment call, and then that I feel like that opens a bigger can of worms than just calling it every time.
Does the NHL need this rule?
Delay game? Yeah.
The over the glass penalty?
Yeah, it was brought in, I don't know when it was brought in, but they did
lockout.
it. But I meant it was originally to delay the game without the penalty. I think it was the Bruins. I think Cherry went off about that being oh yeah, we'd be tired, so I just tell the guy to rip it over the glass or over the boards.
Well, that was the alternative to icing. Essentially, it was because back pre-lockout 04-05 lockout, the plays were ice the puck when you're tired because you were allowed to change after an icing. They changed that, and you put the puck over the boards because you're tired, you put it over the board, stops play, there's no consequence. Back then, there was consequence for a goalie putting the puck over the glass. There was a delay of game penalty for that. Still, back then, that rule has been around for quite some time. It even is in minor hockey, in beer league hockey. It's everywhere.
Can they make a variation of the penalty? Say, in the last 10 minutes of a game?
They could,
if you
but
do
at what...
It's a penalty?
But...
I see where you're coming from, for sure.
If you do it in the first 5 minutes of the game, whatever. But if you're, say it's a tie game late and they flip it over, if it's in a certain time period. But then
at that point, say if they didn't get that power play earlier in the game, that affects the outcome of the game. So at that point, I get where you're coming from, for sure. I like the I don't know how you make a variation of that rule. It could only be time constrained.
It's either you have it or you don't have it.
Yeah.
I think that's where it is. And I am leaning towards the having it in the game versus not having it in the game because the whole purpose of the NHL since 04-05 has found ways to speed up the game and increase goal scoring. So what's one way you avoid icings and pucks over the glass and these continuous stoppages is this. This is a freak incident that happens once in I don't know how many hockey games that have been played in the last 15 years, but it's been a lot, or in the last 10 years, and it just doesn't happen. So that's where I'm coming from.
No, I think we can all agree on that one.
So to move back to your point about how Ovechkin looked on the bench after they lost, what was your general feeling from him? Disappointment?
A little bit of disappointment, but it was more
how can this keep happening? Anger?
How can this keep happening? /
confusion?
He just looked kind of this was their year. But now, again, I'm going to even go back to last year. Remember when the Jets were on an insane tear?
Yeah.
3/4 of the way through the season. They peaked to make playoffs. Mm-hmm. The Caps, I think, peaked about March. Yeah, about a month left in the season. You have to start hitting your stride then. You can't peak.
And I think the other thing, too, I don't know if we mentioned it on this podcast, but I've heard it from several other people, was you look at the 2 first-round matchups the two teams had. realistically, Washington went in and was in a very tough battle with Philadelphia Flyers. It was a cakewalk for the Pittsburgh Penguins to beat the New York Rangers. There was no difficulty there. So I think coming into this series against the Penguins, the Capitals were just a little bit more tired than the Penguins were. So it is disappointing.
I would agree. Like, I think Washington was they were mentally gassed from the Philly series because they outplayed Philly
the entire series, and no one beat them.
And it was very down to the wire. So I think that took a lot out of them.
And then they continued to try and play like mind games / be the aggressor. When against Pittsburgh Penguins, that's pretty much how you beat them, is like play mind games. But it's like they were so spent from the Flyers series by like, how are we? They're missing their second line center, and they're missing, who else are they missing? Well, Giroux was just nowhere.
He wasn't, but that's what the Caps. The one thing that I think gets overshadowed with the Caps' disappointment this year was the fact that they neutralized the superstars in each series. Voracek looked non-existent.
Pedantic.
Giroux looked non-existent in the Flyers series. Then you go to the Pittsburgh series, and Crosby and Malkin both were they're non-factors.
But then the other guys on the other teams showed up.
Exactly.
Like Ryan White was a key factor in that series. Ryan White's a fourth liner, and they're looking at. Oh, go ahead.
No, continue.
I was going to say Ryan White's a fourth liner coming into this year's contract's coming up. He's going to get $1 million. Okay. A guy who has $1 million probably shouldn't be a key factor in a series when you're neutralizing guys like Giroux and Voracek.
So I think the bottom sixes were part of the issue, and I don't think, as well as Holtby played, he never stole a game in the Pittsburgh series, and he didn't really steal a game in the Philly series. He just had to be good enough to win. He gave his team a chance to win every night. It was just, at some point, he has to steal a game, and I think that they just have to make a step. I don't think it's time to tear the team apart. I just think they have to go from here. They have to just... The other thing is Kuznetsov was non-existent during the playoffs. All playoffs long, really.
Yeah.
But, to go back to the original point that I was going to make was Ovechkin's emotions on the bench were disappointment, anger, shock almost. However, the narrative after they were eliminated was, why the fuck is he going from the NHL playoffs next day to the World Championships? Shouldn't he have a mourning period for being out of the playoffs? So then what all the writers were writing about is how Ovechkin cares more about the World Championships than he does winning a Stanley Cup.
Why not get your mind off it by keeping playing hockey?
Boom.
For your country.
Here's my argument is, their counter-arguments to everything has been, well, Sidney Crosby wouldn't do it. Yeah, but Sidney Crosby, there's two different things. The World Championships to non-North American born players means so much more than to North American born players. That is their tournament. They love that thing. They love that tournament.
North American born players, unfortunately for Canada and US, for us it's, well, I don't want to say I'm a player, but just even a fan, it's, oh, you weren't good enough to make the playoffs. Which is terrible. We shouldn't have that idea. But let's just use this example. Team USA, okay? I've mentioned this before. Their captain is a third liner in the NHL. Yep. Matt Hendricks.
Yep.
Third liner. Russia and any of the other teams, they get offered, they consider it an honor. It should be an honor to don the Maple Leaf and the USA jerseys. Yes, I understand that. But the mindset, as Greg said, it's that's it. That's their stuff. That would be like, I guess to make it a fair comparison to Canadians, would be our World Juniors. Like, if you're a junior player and you say no to World Juniors, it's like, what? Are you insane?
Yeah.
Oh, I have a foot problem. So you go. It's Canada. That's how we should treat it. But we don't, because you're considered gold or bust or cup or bust if you're Canadian. Like, it's almost embarrassing for us to be like, you know what? I lost. I'm going to go... I'll keep playing. But Ovi, just to even help the argument there of like why he went, it's his country, obviously. He's not going to say no. And he was prepared to play until like late June. You don't think he has another 2 weeks left in his tank? In his home country, he's going to go there anyways. Yeah, he's got time.
To just strengthen the argument a little bit more, when you're not from North America, or even when you're not from Canada, especially, what you dream of as a kid is not necessarily the Stanley Cup, because your knowledge of North American hockey isn't that great when you're a kid. When you're 7, 8, 9, 10, when I was growing up, I dreamt of wearing a Maple Leaf jersey. You're just playing in the NHL. Being able to be in the same presence as the Stanley Cup. Those were our dreams. For people from Europe and Russia, their dreams are, I want to play for my country. That is the biggest honor. As great as it is for him to win a Stanley Cup, and that is his ultimate goal. That's what he wants. But he's like, this is a close second. Why not go play? And that's the same thing with Evgeny Kuznetsov. And that is, I heard it on the radio, and the radio announcers are even like, this is stupid. It is very clear he wants to be here. He wants to win a championship. So what if he wants to go play for his country? But what do you think, Dan?
No, I agree 110%.
Is it
different mindset?
It's time to kill the narrative, really, that he doesn't want to win a Stanley Cup.
You know what? Slow news day. Need something to write about.
Exactly.
That's what this is.
It's a non-argument. No, it's a non-argument. I mean, if any of us say we make some beer league championships,
yeah,
and then we lose, and then us three, there's another, like a Canadian team going overseas for like 2 weeks, and like, hey, you want to come represent us? I mean, you're going to be playing probably a game every 3 days, and then you just hang out and play hockey, but you get another 2 weeks. Of course we're going to go. Not even on the same level at all. But why wouldn't you go and represent your country? Exactly. Unfortunately, yeah, in North America, as Greg said, nail on the head, we're trained to represent the club and then win a Stanley Cup. And then gold medal comes very far second, probably.
But it's actually funny that, I'll mention this, there's two separate arguments I want to make. It seems that in the past couple of years, Canada has had more talent going to the World Championships. Now, that's mostly because the Edmonton Oilers haven't been making it, so guys like Jordan Eberle and Taylor Hall and Connor McDavid can go play there. But it seems that more and more players feel... Like last year, Crosby went. Giroux was there. Big-name players were there last year. I feel like it's more and more going to be a thing that players go and do now. However, I don't think you could find an international event, because we've talked about it on this podcast before, about players going to play for their country in the Olympics. Like Ovechkin's already said, if there's no NHL players in 2018, he's still going to go play for Russia. You never get that in Canada, and they'll want to play for the NHL more. Or maybe they want to, it's just to play for their country. However, if there was a Russia team in the Spangler Cup, do you not think there'd be Russian players going and leaving the NHL to go play in the Spangler Cup?
They don't have a Russian team in the Spangler Cup.
No. They have a Canadian team. The Canadians don't leave. They leave their AHL squads. They don't leave their NHL squad to represent them in the Spangler Cup. That would be considered an honor for European players. Isn't considered an honor for a Canadian
It's
player.
totally like the...
Is that not weird though? Like,
it is, yeah. I did not know there wasn't a Russian...
Because
probably
they're playing
a Russian club team.
They're playing like KHL teams. They're playing Swedish Elite League teams. Is I believe how the Spangler Cup works. I could be wrong, but I think it's
a tournament style. Yeah.
Exactly. So now moving on out of this angry rant, let's go and talk about the Eastern Conference Final. Tampa Bay Lightning, Pittsburgh Penguins. They've never met. Have they met in the playoffs recently? 2011?
I don't remember. Not that I'm not saying
I'm the worst hockey fan. I have no idea right now.
Well, I thought that would be a good question to start. Going into the series, before it started, because we already know, what was your take on it? How did you feel it was going to go?
High-flying offense. I fully expected to see and continue to see like 4-2, 5-3, 4-4 going into overtime, 3-3 going into OT. High-flying, fast-paced hockey. There's going to be some collisions. Dan.
High-paced hockey, but I thought it'd be a goalie duel. It has been sort of, but not the goalies you thought were going to be in the goalie duel. But up until that injury, I was like, which goalie's going to crack first?
Now,
because they've both been very good.
Obviously, in Game 1, what Dan's alluding to
hasn't been good.
No,
is Ben Bishop injured after an awkward save. It looked like that just tweaked his knee. From what I've heard, it's not serious, but they did start Vasilevsky in Game 2, which really isn't like that big of a deal. I think Vasilevsky is a very serviceable goalie.
Contrasting styles, so.
They're just, one's extremely athletic, the other one's extremely positional.
Positional is Vasilevsky?
I'm saying athletic is Vasilevsky.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Positional is Ben Bishop, because Ben Bishop covers so much of the net that he doesn't need to be as athletic. Like Vasilevsky plays a much more movement. He moves a lot more.
He's a fan's goalie.
Exactly. Yeah. He's a lot more flashy to look at. However, the narrative at the beginning of the series was Murray versus Bishop. That might change after last night's 3-2, or was it 4-2 win for the Pittsburgh Penguins?
3-2.
3-2 win for the Pittsburgh Penguins in Game 2. Sullivan, the coach of the Penguins, was seen going to Marc-Andre Fleury saying, "You're up. Like, get ready." Because if Murray was letting in another goal, Fleury was going to come in.
Which is very odd because the game was only 2-1 at the point.
Exactly.
And this was at the start of the third period, I believe.
No, it was 2-2 after the first period.
Oh, so it's the start of this. What?
Yeah.
What?
Mm-hmm.
I know. I saw the clip a bunch of times.
So, at what point do you think Fleury gets in? Do you think Fleury comes into this series?
Yeah, when Stamkos comes in.
Well, I wanted to get to that.
It's going to be a chess match.
I feel like
I
feel like Murray still has to. He has to
lose it.
He has to give them a reason to take him out, and
Okay.
I don't quite think that he's done that yet.
So Game 1 was won by the Tampa Bay Lightning
3-1.
3-1. Game 2 was 3-2 for the Pittsburgh Penguins. So 1-1 going back to now Tampa.
Yep.
So Tampa Bay now.
Tampa Bay, Philly. Pittsburgh now is home ice.
Sure don't.
No.
No, they took. I lied. Tampa.
Tampa has
Tampa.
home ice.
Yeah.
Fun fact too: Sidney Crosby's first playoff overtime goal in
Yes.
his 113th playoff game.
Last night.
I was just
make
going
it
to mention
3-2.
that.
Yep.
That's insane.
Isn't that crazy?
I just want to mention Crosby. There's some stats that I saw that I actually paused the game to make sure I read it. Okay, the screen doesn't want to rotate. It's fine. Sidney Crosby first 62 playoff games, 30 goals, 1.32 points per game, plus 22 rating. Here's the last 50 games played in the playoffs, which is amazing that he's played over 100 playoff games now. Last 50.
I've seen 7 for my favorite team.
Sorry.
Since Crosby's been in the league.
Last,
Hey, it's still more than Oiler fans.
I've seen 8. One more.
Continue, Cam,
I've
sorry.
seen a few. Last 50 playoff games, 16 goals, 0.94. A very depressing 0.94 points. Only just under a point a game.
Come on, Sid.
Minus
Pick it
11, though.
That's a little more telling.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I just want to say, CBC. They showed a really nice picture of Crosby taking a face-off for the first 62. Last 50, though, they chose to put the one where he's like on the ground, like after getting a knee to the face of Steckel. Poor choice. I
Poor
thought
choice.
that was in poor taste, but that was
That was Glenn Healy, 100%.
yeah.
That's all I will say about that.
But very impressive stat, 113. But that's because Letang, they were doing an interview with Letang after the game, and he was like, "Are you surprised at that?" He's like, "Well, kind of, but Crosby's usually the guy setting up the play, so we don't really. He doesn't care if he scores as long as we win."
Well,
But 0.94 points is
how-
not that big of a deal.
And how many playoff games with overtime, right? Like it's not like 90% of the games with overtime he never scored.
No, that's correct.
Yeah, well, I haven't been able to watch much of this round, so I'm not really the best person to talk about how it's been. But is it living up to what it has the potential to be?
Yes, it already is,
Okay.
100%. But with the Bishop injury, now both goalies are 21, which is kind of
Okay.
insane.
That is
They're
insane.
4 years younger than us. That's
Both.
madness, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't like that idea. That both goalies are 21. I do not like that idea one bit.
What are we doing with our lives?
I know. And there's a 26-year-old GM in the league now. Jeez.
I can't wait till the 18-year-old coach.
Oh God, no! No, that'll never
He's
happen.
being born and bred in a...
Maurice
It's
was one of the
coming.
youngest coaches, and I think he was in his 28.
Mid to late mid 20s.
Yeah, I remember like when he came over from wherever he
I
was
think he was in.
previously.
TSN.
TSN. They were like, yeah, he's coached like almost or over 1,000 games or something like that. I'm like, whoa, what?
Yeah.
I didn't
Yeah.
know that.
And he's what 46, 47.
Yeah, exactly.
He's still one of the younger ones, which is insane.
Exactly.
But back to the series, I believe it. I would fully agree. I not agree, but I believe to me it's living up to the hype.
Now the Callahan hit on Letang. Thoughts? No suspension. Nothing for it. Thoughts?
Not very often do you see a 5-minute major for boarding that the guy doesn't get kicked out. It is a rule that they can deem it however they want to, but he only got 5. He didn't get kicked out.
Interesting.
He didn't get kicked
So
out.
that-
So he
to
didn't
me-
get the game misconduct. He just
got the 5.
Okay.
But it was a bad hit, but then you go and look at, there was a bad hit on
Johnson.
on one of the Tampa guys. too.
Johnson.
Yeah.
It's Tyler Johnson, yeah.
Yeah. So
But now it's calls like this that do you want to let it get out of hand now? Because you're going to get someone very important is going to get hurt, or they might, and then you got to let it go because you let that one go. When I first saw it, I instinctively, it looked like to me Letang turned a bit, and then he hit him on the numbers, no doubt about it. But it seemed to me like he turned a bit, and then he got the full force of it when he was fully turned. So that might have been the effect, but. Is this a cliff that you're going to fall or like stand? Is this a hill you're going to stand on? And then when one of your star players gets hit, similar, Letang is a star. But I'm saying like hypothetically,
he admitted it.
What's that?
Yeah, I know. We got to timestamp that just so we can replay that.
Oh, that
Cam's
Letang's
new
a star.
text.
Could you please repeat that?
I
He
agree
said it
that
twice.
Chris Letang is a star
That's
player.
3 times now.
Okay,
I'll refer Kevin to this part of the podcast.
right.
excellent.
So this will haunt your dreams. I just want you to
Yeah, you know that's
Okay.
fine. I accept it. But a player of that caliber,
Yeah.
even bigger, like say Crosby, not even bigger, but on the same level, Crosby, Johnson, or maybe even Brent Burns. Say if this happens to Brent Burns, and same hit happens, you think the San Jose media, fans, everyone's not going to lose their minds that blank ex-player Troy Brouwer threw a hit like that, and he's not getting a game or something, or David Backes.
I'm not sure it's a suspension hit. I think it's definitely a 5-minute major. Probably a game.
I thought it was 5 and I thought
probably
a game for sure.
Probably
and then,
a game misconduct, but I don't think he should get. I don't know if it's a suspendable hit. It's not a good
it
hit.
looked bad though.
Yeah, but he turned into
When
it,
he
right?
got up, he was woozy, and he still hasn't really looked the same to me. He looks kind of concussed.
But
to
he
me.
turned into it also.
Greg, what do you got?
You know what we give those hits in minor hockey? And I know you can't really make the comparison, but you know what we give those
Oh, you
hits in
mean
minor
you
hockey?
can't make the comparison because the NHL makes literally that they are the cornerstone to create rules like the trickle down effect,
Yeah.
and they're ruining kids' lives. Basically, go ahead. What did you call
If
that?
I'm the referee in that
Yep.
situation, that is 5 in a game. I am giving him a game, but because an injury occurred on the play. But partially, like, Letang, if he had stayed down, it would have been a game misconduct because he got up.
Yeah.
That's probably why he didn't get kicked out. Still think that I would have called it a game regardless, just because of where he hit him, how he hit him. And I think that's how the game is called at the younger level, is that's 5 in a game right away. Even though not necessarily an injury occurred that we saw, but it's very clear that it was a dangerous hit. Those are the kind of hits we're going to try to get rid of. But by no means is it ever a suspension. It's not a suspendable hit in minor league. Why is it a suspendable hit in the NHL? The rightful action should have been taken, and I think this is what the NHL... I'm going to defend the NHL in this sense and say that the referee should have given him a game misconduct, which means he would have missed that game. They did not feel that he deserved to miss another game for that hit. So there was no need for him to be suspended. So they didn't agree necessarily with the referee's discretion to not kick him out, but they don't feel it was a suspendable hit.
I would agree. Game misconduct should have been applied, but no suspension. I don't think.
So 1-1 through 2. What is our predictions for this
Oh,
series?
right.
Because we
To the
We
prediction
did.
board.
We tweeted them
Cam's
out.
sticking loyal with Tampa Bay.
I took Tampa in 6.
Sure did.
I'm there. This is going to sound insane now that I'm saying it out loud, but I still think they have better depth than Pittsburgh does.
They just got Anton Stroman back, and looks like they might get Stamkos back at some point in this series. So
I think that Stamkos one's like keep
Maybe.
that one, play it close to the chest, and be like,
But Stroman's back now,
it's
and
game
that's big.
5.
Yeah.
Stroman, how many minutes did he play yesterday?
He looked
I'm
good, though.
thinking-
He was on the ice.
The
a lot.
only way Stamkos, if he's even remotely ready, the only way he comes in is if they're like elimination potentially.
Yeah.
If they're winning the series, I think they'll hold him to the final if he's even able to go then.
Well, 2 podcasts ago, you
They
said
don't need
like
him. Well,
this
it's
type
a-
of injury,
it's
you could
tricky.
die.
Well, it's tricky. You have to be careful when you come back.
Yeah.
Because you're on blood thinners, you risk of
Yeah.
damaging yourself, getting cut. If you get cut, you're going to bleed a lot.
Well, the biggest thing
There's
is,
just risks involved with the medication that he has had to be on since his surgery.
but they
So.
said they're waiting for him to be off
Yeah.
blood thinner medication. So that could be tomorrow. It could be next week. It could be next season.
Yep.
We don't know.
Yep.
That's the
And
thing.
sometimes they never come off it, and that's why guys like Pascal Dupuis,
Yeah.
the guys that have to retire.
So continue.
Greg went Pittsburgh 7. I went Pittsburgh in 6.
So, like I said last podcast, I'm okay with Pittsburgh now because I want to see Phil Kessel lift a Stanley Cup. If it comes down to Sharks, really anybody on the West versus the Penguins, I'll want the other team to win, the West to win. But in the back of my mind, I'll be like, damn it, if Kessel gets to lift that cup.
You know what? I'm so with you. Like,
I know.
Like,
it's so hard to cheer against him.
Okay, in that it's like, okay, it's the Blues. I still don't enjoy watching them play hockey. I'm not changing my aspect on that at all. But if they advance, it's like, wow, first cup.
Exactly.
Pittsburgh, it's like, oh, cross-state rivals. But Kessel.
Exactly.
Tampa, it's like Tampa, but the Dro Show. And it's like Sharks, first cup, Chia Burns. So really, I'm okay.
Burns.
I'm okay with any of the four at this point. Like, I'll pick a winner, but I'm okay paying the toll if I lose.
So recap, Cam picked Tampa in 6, Dan picked Pittsburgh in 6, I picked Pittsburgh in 7.
Greg, you're looking pretty safe at the moment.
Right now, I feel safe. Although Tampa could win the next
I thought
four.
if Tampa won last night,
Yep, Tampa in 5.
no. I still would have said Tampa in 6, but I thought for sure they would have taken game 3 and then maybe gone back and then gone back. So in 6.
Okay. Western Conference Final. San Jose Sharks, St. Louis Blues. We talked about it last podcast because we knew that this one was done. We knew this one was set up at the time.
No,
No,
game
we-
No, we
7.
didn't.
We did not.
Shit!
Yeah.
What happened
We
in
didn't know that either of the teams were in it.
Oh,
No, did
no,
we?
we knew St. Louis
No,
was
we
in it.
didn't. We said we just hoped whoever won another West, or we said
No, there was one winner for sure now.
No, we did not know.
there was not. We all said we hope St. Louis wins, but whoever
Yeah.
comes to the West was we want to win.
Wow,
Yeah.
my bad, homies.
Well, no,
I
that
didn't
was
get-
my bad. I totally forgot.
I didn't get.
So what happened in Game 7 between Dallas and St. Louis?
Exactly what I said. St. Louis shit pumped Dallas.
And what happened in Game 7 between Nashville and San Jose?
Man on a mission, move. Like that's exactly what.
So both teams just essentially, to be graphic, bent the other one over and had its way with it.
That was a very non-graphic way of saying something graphic.
Yeah, like
We have to be. We have
Perfection.
to. The kids.
Pekka Rinne. Very few times I've ever seen Pekka Rinne that angry. He broke
was
his stick.
mad.
And then he tried to do the cool throwback and it got caught on his blocker. It kind of twirled the other way and I laughed.
Karma.
Yeah.
But so now we get two teams that have never won a Stanley Cup in Western Conference Final. What do we know going into the series? What do you expect out of the series?
Has either team been in the Stanley Cup final?
St. Louis, 1970. Lost to the Boston Bruins.
Josie's never been in a final.
So
Never been in a final. This is as
basically,
far as
neither
we've ever
team's
been.
been in a final
See,
in
that's
anyone's
the one thing-
lifetime that's watching.
That's the one thing
I shouldn't say that.
I'm
That's
not excited
incorrect.
about. Oh, sorry. Go
My
ahead.
parents are older than that. I shouldn't say that.
Yeah.
I missed it.
I digress.
All of our 70-year-old listeners are very upset with you.
I digress.
25 straight years and St. Louis were in the cup.
Yeah.
And they didn't win a cup. So maybe they're more deserving per se because they'd be the wait.
No.
They would be the last next 6 to win a cup if
Yeah.
they won.
They're the only next 6 team that hasn't won a cup.
Yeah.
No, that's so
Them and
okay.
Toronto have the two longest droughts.
Toronto ended.
But Toronto's
soon enough
won
anyways,
cups.
That's fine. Okay, so the only thing I'm not a fan of in this series is the storyline that whoever wins are going to be like two cities far apart, different people living in those cities, different aspirations, different way to raise families. One thing connects them all. They've never won it all, and they're fighting to get to that holy grail, to get to the dance.
Did you
To
memorize
ask
the
the
video?
girl out. I don't. I'm just making up the most generic shit ever because that's what's every storyline. They're like, St. Louis going in. They're up a game. They're up game 1.
But San Jose knows what it takes to grind out a win because they've never been there before.
Three steps to that door. Put that key in and turn it. You're there.
And Stanley Cup famish brings out the best in everyone.
We're all hungry, and it's eating time.
You guys should work for CBC. Seriously.
So that's the only thing that I'm not a fan of because
We
every
all
game
have a
is
fever, and it's more cowbell.
Yeah, it's like, there's been a few players on both teams who've won gold, but they want that silver cup. Oh, they want it bad.
To lift hockey's most glory grail, holy grail over their head. I can't do the voice
Keep
anymore.
doing it. Finish.
Holy grail over their heads will be the most.
I think you turned into Batman.
They say it weighs 35 pounds. But it's the lightest 35 pounds you'll ever lift. Ever.
No.
That's what she
Where is she? Where is he? Where's Stanley?
Where's Rachel?
I like how Dan's
This
like, you
went
guys
so-
are going down to your goddamn ship.
I'm
I
staying
ain't
out of it.
touching it.
Dad, welcome to what happens when Cam and I are alone on a
Oh
podcast.
boy, nobody's saying yet, so that's a bonus.
Not yet. No, there's no song time yet.
500 miles and I would walk 500
If only they were only
more
separated by
I know.
100 miles, that'd be amazing.
to be the man.
I
thousand
I had to say it, didn't I?
Okay.
I
Let's
had
move
to
on.
say it.
What is it going? Who's going to come out of the series, first of all? What were our predictions?
I took Sharks in 6.
I think I took Sharks in 7 or 6.
I think you took 6 because you wanted Burns.
I wanted Burns, yeah.
I carried over
San Jose.
Lil Joe.
I picked Burns, the Chia Pet.
And I took St. Louis.
Oh,
You know what? I will give. You know what though? If the Blues do win, kudos to Dan.
yeah.
Because every year when Dan and I do playoff picks, and you as well, every year Dan's like, "This is it, the Blues. Come on, guys."
It's true. I've said it every year
See,
for the last 4 years.
there's 3 teams that Dan like automatically has to pick usually because I will never pick them, and 4.
LA Kings.
LA Kings, Blues, Devils, and Wings. I never pick them. So if you're picking me,
It's true.
pick them because I'm not picking them.
If you're wrong, well. If you're right, you get points.
Yeah.
But what's it gonna take to win this series? God, it sounds so stupid. I feel like a hockey player right now. Team efforts by everyone needs to show up every game. That's who's gonna win.
I think the goalie that shows up more, shows up.
Yeah.
The goalie that plays the better in this series wins this series. I think the team that capitalizes on their
Chances.
chances, but I meant on the special teams, especially power play. If St. Louis can play well on the penalty kill and can take some pressure away from that amazing San Jose Sharks power play, that is going to be a huge part of keeping these games tight. But the one thing is San Jose, I think, has the edge in the series just because I believe they can score that timely goal when they need it. And I don't believe that with San Jose or with St. Louis. Like, Tarasenko is pretty much the guy to score that goal late in the game. And Troy Brouwer can do it because it's voodoo for some
Destiny.
reason. But San Jose has a ton of guys that can do that. That can score those big goals in those big moments. Joe Thornton, Patrick Marleau, Joe Pavelski, Logan Couture. There's just a handful. There's so many guys that can score in big moments. And I think that's where San Jose gets their edge is when there's a timely goal. Those guys can shine in that moment. And that's what I felt with the Sharks team all season, is they've been great at that. Granted, I haven't watched as much as I'd like to, but I put on a San Jose Sharks teal jersey yesterday when I was at Pro Hockey Life, and looked pretty sharp.
You're gonna try and bite the bullet, weren't you?
I was really debating.
You better jump on the wagon now before they get to the final. If they get to the final. I'm just saying.
There
and getting
is-
Reimer 34 on the
there
back
is
of
a-
it.
there is-
I was going to put Reimer
Yeah?
on the back. That
There-
or Nick Spalling. Nick Spalling, underrated, playing very well for San Jose.
Now
right now.
Donskoy?
Donskoy's been good.
The donkey.
The other thing that I'd like to mention is I looked at their general manager, their cap. They're in great shape. And then plus Marleau and Thornton are done at the end of next season, and they'll have another $12 million to spend, which is insane. They're in such great shape for the future.
Wait, are they looking for a top line center?
They're not.
Oh, good.
Why?
We'll continue on.
Why?
Steven.
Finish. Oh, Steven Stamkos. No, because they got Pavelski. But maybe. You never know. Could happen. But probably not. They don't have the cap room. So what happened in the first 2 games? First game of the series, because the second game's going
2-1, St. Louis. San Jose laid pressure, pulled the goalie, 2.5 minutes left. Few scrambles, but nothing came of it. Basically, I hate that stupid saying. I'll say it anyways. Where it's like whoever scores first is probably going to win. In a defensive / well-rounded team game that both of these teams play, it's probably more likely than not if you score first, you're going to have a better chance at winning. wow, that's real open-ended for any sport you play.
Yep.
If you score first,
Sound-
you're probably going to do pretty good, guys.
Sound
Yeah.
advice.
Yeah.
You can't win if you don't score.
Do we have an update in game 2?
2-0.
2-0.
San
San Jose.
Jose.
How much time?
End of the second.
And in second.
Ooh.
I'm just actually being. I don't know. I'm just saying
He's
what
just-
Jack
oh.
says.
he's just
to
mimicking
make
me.
it seem like I know what I'm talking about, but I don't.
Riding the coattails.
Oh wait,
of everyone
we
else.
gotta move on. Time is
Of the essence. Yeah.
Yeah, high five. Okay. Hockey championships, world championships. We talked about it earlier with Russia going. Russia finished round robin play finished today. Russia finished 6-0-1. Canada had a very disappointing loss today to Finland.
Is
4-0.
it disappointing? Finland's awesome.
Finland's been amazing all tournament. So Canada finished what 6-1, I guess then.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm assuming.
5-1. If Russia went 6-0,
6-0-1. So I'm assuming
So,
they played 7.
6-1.
6-1.
Yeah.
And I think Finland was undefeated then, right? Or did they lose?
You're asking the wrong guy.
USA lost to Slovakia today. The biggest news, I think, and I just want to mention this: Hungary wins their first ever Hockey World Championship game since 1939. I can't
Pretty
remember who they
amazing.
beat.
That was probably around the time sliced bread came out.
Okay,
You got
You
to
actually
think.
might not be wrong.
the last time they won, Hitler had just recently invaded Poland. That's how long ago it was. 1939 was right around the start of World War II.
They broke the curse.
God, you know what sucks about, well, obviously,
Well,
that
second coming of
everything-
Hitler is Donald Trump, so what do you expect now?
Hey,
Oh.
whoa, don't
Wow.
put that on us.
I know.
That was Gregory Petrick.
Whoa,
On the record.
whoa,
I like
whoa,
going
whoa.
to America.
Well, so do
The
I.
political views expressed on this podcast do not reflect the actual political views
Oh my
of Canada.
God.
No,
Jesus.
I'm sorry. That is an opinion of some people. That is not my opinion.
Oh, that's why it came out
No.
of your mouth?
Liar.
You cannot burn the messenger. Don't.
What do you mean burn the
Hey,
message?
the
You
messenger-
said it!
I know, but all I'm saying
The
is that's
messenger
not
always gets burned.
no, but
how it
that's not
works.
my personal opinion. My personal opinion is Donald Trump is I haven't made one because he's not going to be my president, so I don't.
I was
really
about
care.
to say that sucks that, like, anyone our age or, like, anyone living, whenever there's something terrible, automatically Hitler in Germany.
Exactly.
0 to 100 is Germany. I mean,
But
yes, despicable what happened.
Yes.
Terrible. But, come. I
But
mean,
no,
pick
that's-
something a lower scale of it.
That's been the comparison that's been made. They've actually made like huge comparisons to it. Not what I believe in. I just said it because I thought that
No, and we
I
got
know.
it.
I know,
I have
but
a
I
good-
have to explain myself because there are irrational people
Hey, if
out
you
there that
found
might come
us
across.
through
this.
politics tag,
We
wow,
apologize.
how'd you get here? I don't know.
I
We
have,
didn't even tag politics.
Oh, I'm doing it now.
I have a good transition. Germany actually beat the United States in this tournament.
Yes, and they also
Marco Dano scored.
Yeah. Today-
Germany beat United States in hockey.
Oh, that's what you're missing. Yeah, no, they
What
beat
the
them.
hell?
And U.S. lost
Germany
to
doesn't
Slovakia.
Well,
This
And
is
Marco
what
Dano
happens
scored.
when
happens?
Matt Heinrichs is your captain.
True.
And Kyle Connor gets scratched.
And the guy that scored hasn't scored a goal in 2 years in the NHL.
Who's that? Dano?
Oh, Germany, Marcel Gottsch.
No, he's played for Toronto.
Who?
Oh, Corbinian Holzer.
Holzer.
Oh, Holzer.
Yep.
Dude, he's good.
He's not bad. Yeah.
He hadn't scored a goal in 2 years in the NHL. He's
Yeah,
not
but
that
he
good.
Was,
was on the seventh pair or
He's
third
not
pairing.
that good.
Was what's this? Well, he was in Anaheim for a while too. This past year.
No one's making that.
He's
roster.
very subpar.
Well, he's
Who,
still in the
but-
NHL.
Draisaitl, was he on the German team?
I don't know.
It's actually mandatory. We already
Is he
mentioned
German?
that every Oiler attend.
Yeah,
Oiler
yeah,
check.
exactly.
They just send their whole
Because
team.
like when you think about it, Cam Talbot's the goalie for
Even the
Canada.
athletic therapist
and
has to go.
that was a big thing with today's game against Finland was Cam Talbot just was terrible, is what I've heard. A lot of people blaming him, and then the defenders saying that you never win a game when you don't score a goal. But it's hard to score a goal when you're looking back and you have no faith in your goalie saving anything.
They have to blame someone, right?
Exactly. So, what do you think is? Do you think Finland has a chance to do what no other international team has ever done
Yes.
this year?
Yep. I'm fully on board. Who are they playing, and what's their route to get there? Pull it out if you can.
That's what she said.
I still think the happy.
Oh. God.
You would.
You twice today.
Well done, actually.
that was
views,
funny. Thank
the
you very
views
much.
I still-
expressed on this podcast
Do
do
not-
not reflect Cam and that's going to be our new tag.
That's the new tagline. We
Yeah.
have to do this.
Not three misinformed
We have to get
friends
somebody
saying-
to record the disclaimer before.
Yeah, the views
Frank
and-
has to record the disclaimer
talking like Bevan.
before.
The views and expect on the podcast do not reflect. Oh God,
I'm going to say one of the biggest storylines that I see in the media coming out of this tournament is that the happiest man in the country right now should be Kevin Cheveldayoff.
Because Shifley's looking
No,
great.
because Patrick Laine looks pretty damn good.
Yeah.
Why would it be Cheveldayoff? Maybe Mikey Babcock.
Maybe.
Mike that
I
Babcock.
think there's a lot of
Maybe.
people happy right now because there is.
Maybe.
I like Shifley's been doing well.
He has. Yeah.
But it's because we hear about it more, right? We hear about those triumphs.
He also endorsed the Jets pretty good this week. Said he wants to be in Winnipeg for a long time.
Who, Mark Shifley?
Mark Shifley said
Yeah,
that.
well.
So
He also understands the nature of the business. And
he's also trying to get a contract
Yep.
for a lot of money.
That's
so
what I was
of course
gonna
he's say that.
5 years at $9 million, Mark.
I want to stay in
Please.
Winnipeg for 8 years. Why? Because they're going to pay me a lot of money. That's why.
That's how this works.
And I got a pretty good deal at the Co-op gas bar. They send me a check at the end of the year for other gas.
Exactly. The big truck I drive with Adam Lowry is just
Just off the chain.
Yeah, it's expensive. So yeah,
Do we know the route that they'd be taking?
No, I don't know.
Okay.
But realistically, there's going to be Canada in there, probably United States.
Russia
Russia's in there.
and USA.
I said USA. I believe Sweden's probably in there as well.
Yeah.
I haven't really followed it.
Classic powerhouses.
The other thing is Switzerland looks like they're relegated out of the World Championships next year
Oh, they didn't have...
because Latvia's relegated as well. It was Belarus had a win, which was shocking. I'm trying to think. Oh, Denmark. Denmark will not be relegated next
was
year.
Ehlers there?
Ehlers was there.
We didn't talk about him at all, by the way, until just now.
I know. It's okay. He can be silent over in
He'll be
Denmark.
the silent assassin.
Exactly. So
The
last
silent
thing
guardian.
He's actually had a pretty good tournament.
he has. So
He's been putting up some points, doing some stuff.
what starts this weekend, Cam?
Memorial Cup, sorry.
Who are the 4 teams?
Brandon Weekings representing WHL. Host, Red Deer Rebels. Coming out of the OHL, the London Knights. Coming out of the QMJHL, Rouyn-Noranda Huskies.
Okay. Who has the best chance? What do you? Obviously,
Unbiased opinion.
we'll talk about it more next week, as next week it'll be going into the playoff round. But what do you see happening in the preliminary weekend?
I'll give
for
you a
the Memorial
rundown
Cup?
of each team.
'Kay.
Red Deer. The in parentheses worst team, allegedly.
Because they're pretty good still.
Yeah, worst team because
They didn't have to win to get there.
well that's different though. But but also they're just not the deepest team.
Okay.
Brandon, very deep, 3 lines of scoring, 3-headed monster on D with McCoy Camps, Kale Clegg, Ivan Provorov. Very strong, arguably the deepest on D out of any team there. And then you go to the
And then
OHL.
you also have Nolan Patrick, who was the only draft eligible player for next year that has 100 points in the CHL.
which
for
is
this year.
he almost had 100 last year, I think. If
Yeah.
not, he had a lot.
But continue.
London, they can just outscore anybody.
Mitch Marner,
Mitch Marner,
Kachuk.
Christian Dvorak, Matt Kachuk. There's more. God,
they're a powerhouse team. They really
They
are.
score a lot, not as deep as Brandon, but they're going to outscore everyone. They're faster than you. They're going to have the puck a lot, and they outwork a lot of people.
Yep, they play Hunter hockey.
Yeah, because the
That's what they
Hunters own London, and London's a staple of the OHL.
It
Greg
really
and I
is.
were talking about.
And then, what about the Huskies?
They score even more. They're fast. They're the team I know the least amount, but from what I gather, they have arguably the best goalie in the tournament. I wish I knew his name. I was listening to Jeff Merrick's junior podcast earlier,
okay.
so that's how I know about them.
How do you think the round robin is going to finish up? Who's going to finish first, second, third, and fourth? Because you're our junior hockey
If I'm
correspondent.
You're
being
the expert.
You're
if
the
I'm
expert.
being unbiased, I would like to say it's going to be Brant. Okay, I have such a
Unbiased.
bias.
Unbiased.
Commit.
Okay, if I'm being unbiased, London, Brandon, Rouyn-Noranda, Red Deer. That's
Okay.
how it'll finish.
Unbiased.
I think London's going to take Brandon, and then Brandon will come back. That'll be the final. I
London,
want the-
Brandon final.
That's
We'll
my
talk about it next
prediction
week
now.
for sure.
Perfect.
I've got one topic left and one question for you guys. So I'll go
Okay,
with the question.
I have
first.
2 things to mention. Did you want
Okay.
to close out with yours, or do you want me to finish up?
I want to ask this question
Go.
first. So 4 teams remain in the NHL playoffs. Of those 4 teams, just pick a Conn Smythe winner for each team. Go.
Other.
Ah.
Okay,
For each team.
For
Okay.
all
For
Each
all
team,
four. Do you want me to
Tampa
go
Bay.
first?
Oh yeah, if you have it in mind.
I have
Go.
mine already. So, coming out of Pittsburgh, Matt Cullen, who's been insane. Yep.
Dark
I'm going
horse.
with him.
Wow.
Dark horse.
Okay.
Dark horse.
I'm with it. I'm
He's
on
the
board.
unsung here. I don't know if he's
Victor
getting the
Hedman for the Tampa Bay Lightning. Joe Pavelski.
Okay.
Brian Elliott.
Wow.
I will
nice.
go.
You
Okay.
know, way off the board then. Dan, you go.
Tampa, I will go Kucherov.
Oh, you son of a bitch.
You can't say more.
Sharks,
No.
I will say Brett Burns. St. Louis, it's tough. You know who's been surprisingly good for St. Louis? Robbie Fabry.
Yes, he has.
Wow.
Because
Okay.
those eyebrows are fleek.
And Pittsburgh, I don't even know. I haven't followed Pittsburgh. Sidney Crosby, I don't know.
Or Phil
Matt
Thrill.
Murray.
Okay.
Right.
Wow. Nice. Okay. Pittsburgh, the
Phil.
thrill.
Yeah, of course.
He's been
I don't want to be the same, but Phil, Tampa, Cooch, or Drosho. So I'll go Durang. Sharks, I was going to say Pavelski, but to change it up, Couture. He's coming up big.
He is.
And who am I missing?
St.
Your
Louis.
favorite team.
Oh, St. Louis? Oh, man.
I would say if I didn't pick Elliott, I'd go Backus. He's been good.
Who's standing? You know what? He's going to start showing up if he's going to play Brouwer.
Okay.
I want to go Elliott, but I'll pick
Because
him. I'll go
is
Brouwer.
Conn Smythe playoff MVP or
Playoff MVP.
finals MVP?
Playoff MVP.
Okay, so it's different than NBA, right?
It's
full playoffs.
full playoffs,
Okay,
like
that's what I thought.
entirety.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
You know
It's
what?
not-
Screw it. I'll stick with whoever I picked. I'm blanking out on who I just picked.
For St. Louis?
Yeah.
Troy Bauer.
Do you guys smell burnt toast?
I don't. You might be dying.
My left side hurts.
Okay, you go to your two things, and I'll finish it
Yeah.
off with my
Okay.
counter
So the Flyers, I have to bring them in each podcast. I
Yeah,
got to
fine.
shoehorn them in. Giroux's going for hip surgery. Gostisbehere's going for abdomen surgery. A great week so far. And let's tap it off with the news that this one came out first, but I really hope it was going to go under the wayside, but it will not. Evgeny Medvedev is facing a DUI and drug charges.
Oh,
So that's
great.
pretty sweet. That's pretty cool.
Good job,
great.
Philadelphia.
And for Dale Talon, he got named president of Hockey Ops in Florida.
Good for him.
Tom Rowe is a new GM. TSN released a music video with
Yes.
the panel. Don't Take My Goal Away. It's only viewable in Canada, though. I tried it using Tor, an American website, and it wouldn't play it. So I'm sorry if you can't play it from the States.
I haven't watched it yet. I probably should.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have comments. Can I read the comments? Or after?
Read
Real
comments
quick.
first.
Real
Comments
quick.
first. Comments.
Okay. Jojo Brownie. Jojo Brownie 57. I found your podcast by searching podcasts on YouTube. Lol Cam's Batman impression. I'm awesome. Swift Bass Beats. If I remember, I was looking for a podcast for the Avalanche and just kept going through all the videos till I stumbled upon you guys. Been listening for a while now.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And we did get a email from Nick. Thank you for the email.
Thanks. Yes.
That's it. That's it. Nothing else.
Reread its contents.
Very
and-
awesome. Yes, I will be replying to you.
Yeah, we will.
I have not read the contents.
Oh,
Yeah,
right,
you
have
can't.
to-
You can't.
Secret.
It's actually secret stuff. You're not allowed to know.
Nobody wants to share
It's
anything
top
with me,
secret.
so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so we all know the 2018 Winter Olympics are in South Korea, Pyongyang. I'm gonna
Pyongyang.
Pyongyang, I believe is how
Right.
it's pronounced. Now, their men's hockey team internationally right now is ranked 22nd or 23rd. So they went to the IHL, or
That's
they
not
went to
even
the
that bad.
they went to the Olympic sport and they said, "What can we do so we have a team?" Because they weren't going to have a team in the Winter Olympics, and that's one of the biggest events of the Winter Olympics is the men's ice hockey
Because we bring NHL.
because we bring NHL.
Potentially.
So, what South Korea did was, or what the Olympics board came back and said, well, if you can get a better team together, we'll let you do it. So what happened? They brought nine Canadians, former draft picks of teams that are currently playing in South Korea to get their citizenship, their dual citizenship with Canada and South Korea to play for South Korea. So their team's a little bit better. I think it was 9 players they brought on. It was an article written by James Myrtle of the Globe and Mail. I'm gonna get Cam to tweet it out. I didn't fully read the article, but what I grasped is that they went outside and found guys that play in South Korea that weren't from South Korea to come join their Olympic team so they could make the Olympics. So if they're seen as good enough to be there by the Olympic Committee, they'll be able to have a team in the Olympics to represent their country, which would be awesome because that's the staple of the
Yeah,
Winter
you never
Olympics.
don't want to have a team represented. That's it.
Exactly. It's like if the Olympics went to like Kazakhstan, you want the Kazakhstanian team there. Like you just do. You'd
Or
have
if
to.
we hosted Summer Olympics that didn't have a basketball team, that'd be
Yeah.
stupid.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or, we didn't have more than like 3 golfers.
Boom. Graham Dillette.
Nailed it.
We've Graham Dillette. We'd also probably have to put like David Hearn.
Doesn't matter. Not
Okay,
a sport.
no less.
Not a golf one.
Okay, so thank you for listening to episode 93. If you want to be a part of the next podcast, leave a comment down below if you're watching on YouTube. If you're watching or listening to this on Podomatic or through your iTunes podcast app, email us at lastmanNPC@gmail.com and we'll reply to you or talk about you on the podcast. Also, tweet us anytime at lastmanNPC. And if you're listening on Podomatic or iTunes, go check us out on YouTube. Last Man NPC is how you find us.